Welcome back to Next Gen Console Watch, our show following the latest gaming hardware. I'm Daemon Hatfield, and this week I'm joined by Ryan McCaffrey, host of Podcast Unlocked.
Howdy, Daemon.
And IGN's community lead, Jada Griffin.
Hey, Daemon.
Hello there. And today we're discussing the most anticipated game on the horizon. It will be a system seller when it's finally released. Could even be a PS5 Pro system seller. I refer to, of course, Grand Theft Auto 6. And no, there hasn't been any new trailer or a release date to discuss. This week, people are talking about what GTA 6 is going to cost. So a couple years ago, the standard price of a new AAA game became $70. But because GTA 6 is so highly anticipated, does it have the power to command a higher price than that? And this is all because an analyst by the name of Matthew Ball from Appian, he's the CEO, he recently shared a State of the Video Game Industry 2025 report. And he said that Rockstar's guaranteed mega hit, GTA 6, quote, could reestablish packed video game prices after decades of deflation despite rampant cost growth. So Ball reported that some game makers hope GTA 6 will be priced at $80 to $100, breaking the $70 barrier and helping $50 titles to move up to $60, $60 to $70, $70 to $80, etc. So we should clarify, this isn't about rumors that Rockstar is considering selling GTA 6 at a higher price. This is about other people in the industry hoping Rockstar does this, thinking it will pave the way for them to raise their own prices, a rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing. So I think there are two important questions to ask here. First, could Rockstar do this? Could Rockstar charge more for GTA 6? Meaning, would the market tolerate that? Ryan, I want to hear from you first.
Yes, is the short version. Absolutely. If there's any one game on planet Earth in the last 10 plus years, it's this one. They absolutely can get away with it, meaning they probably will get away with it. But as I'm sure we're going to get into, Daemon, there's a lot more to consider with this. Mm-hmm. I'm not rooting for it, but sure. There's still, not everybody can get away with it. And even if GTA does it, but the short answer to your question is yes. GTA 6 is, maybe there's a short list that's more than one game, but the list is at least one game, and that one game's GTA 6.
Jada, do you agree?
I do agree. And to Ryan's point, I think the only other game I could potentially foresee doing something like this, maybe The Witcher 4 when that drops whenever, just because we know how big Witcher and Cyberpunk are, and CD Projekt Red has really built a name up for themselves of delivering these massive games. And same kind of thing with GTA. I think the industry is in a very peculiar place right now. We see tons of stories about layoffs and studio shuttering because games are just not as profitable, or it's hard to stay as profitable with how long development cycles are. And we know GTA 6 has been in development for, probably a decade now? It's been, 11, 13 years?
Well, no, they made Red Dead Redemption 2 in there, so it hasn't been that long.
They did make Red Dead in there. But since the last GTA, since GTA 5, it's been 11 to 13 years, because that was 2013?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
13. So, yeah, so it's been a long time since that. So, and I agree. I think if one game could get away with it, it would be GTA 6. And we've seen Ryan, we were talking about this yesterday, we've seen a trend with a lot of games where even if the base game isn't $100, they're going to have $100 plus versions of these games. We saw this with Starfield when Starfield launched and had a, $120 version, I want to say, for the 3-day early access that broke records and sold millions and millions of copies. And we've seen this with lots of games. So if nothing else, GTA will have that, but I wouldn't be surprised if the base is 100 and then they have $150, $160 versions, which is crazy to say out loud. Crazy, and I don't support it, but it's just the way the industry is right now.
Okay, so let's consider for a moment that Rockstar is going to price GTA 6 higher than $70. Ryan, how do they message that? Do you think they would have to demonstrate that they're including some kind of added value, that it's somehow more than just a base AAA video game? There's something extra that they're being added in there? What do you think?
That's a good question. I mean, first of all, it would be Take-Two, not Rockstar, setting that price. It would be publisher level. So that alone sort of will Rockstar will say, hey, publisher, you guys take the hit on this and not us. But I'm not sure they would message it. They might just put it out there and say, this is $80 or this is $100. And I mean, they could point to Grand Theft Auto Online and the last 10 plus years of GTA 5 and GTA Online, and online being just continually hugely successful. Players have put hundreds, if not thousands, of hours into it. And of course, GTA single player games, very much including GTA 5, are huge games as well that you can sink hundreds of hours into if you want to. So I don't envy the public relations team that does have to answer those inevitable questions from press and from customers. But yeah, I'm not sure that they necessarily would actually put it out with a statement, because it might immediately seem defensive. They will get asked about it.
Sure.
And when those questions come, maybe they just point to the longevity of GTA 5 and the depth of 5, both in single player and in GTA Online. Pardon me.
Okay, so if we think GTA 6 might be the one game that could command a higher price, a premium price, I think the other important question is, would Rockstar and Take-Two do this? Would they actually go through with pricing, going at a higher price than the standard $70 games today? Jada, what do you think? Would they go this route?
I think with how much they've invested into GTA 6, it may be a answer of they don't want to, but they need to at this situation. And I say need, not that Rockstar is hard up for cash. We know that for a matter of fact, they're not, with how much money that GTA 5 and online still brings in monthly, and how it's still in the top play charts and still in the top microtransactions and sales every month, every year. But there is a lot of tech that they have probably invested heavily in for this game, with its enhanced graphics and the larger world and new performance and future-proofing it for PS5 Pro and the 5090 graphics cards that are coming out. So there's a lot of R&D costs that have gone into GTA 6 that most fans A, don't care about, or B, might not even be aware of. So I could see them doing it out of a necessity, just to really stay as profitable as possible and really appease the shareholders for stock prices. It's a terrible thing, and I hate that I'm talking it up for that reasoning, but we do know that that is how sometimes financial decisions are made around these types of things.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jada. You hit it at the end. The answer is yes, they will, because they can, because they are a for-profit company that answers to shareholders, and so it absolutely will happen. If they think, I don't know what the math is. I haven't done it. I went to journalism school, so math's not my strong suit. But if they only sell 90 million copies at $100 versus selling 100 million copies at $70, wherever the math works out that they make more money, that's what they're going to do. And there's no morality in it. There's no emotion in it. It's just what will make us the most money. Period. End of story. And that's how it's going to go.
So Ryan, am I correct in assuming it actually sounds like you're pretty positive this would happen?
I mean, if the industry, if anybody's going to do it, it's them, and it's this game. I mean, so and seemingly with inflation, with rising development costs, it probably is an inevitability. We went a long time, and again, I'm not sitting here rooting for more expensive games.
Right.
And the reason that I'm not rooting for that is because history tells us, and in this era of corporate, however you want to describe it, let me just say this. I would be willing to pay more for my games if I knew that money was going to absolutely not only keep studios open, but keep developers employed and working reasonable hours without crunch, with proper health care and support. But I have absolutely no confidence that would be the case. I instead fear that a raised game price would just go into the corporate profits, and that conditions for developers actually creating this art, creating this stuff, would not change or improve at all. So that's where I'm coming from. I'm very willing to pay more if I know that it's going to the right place, and that right place is not shareholders' pockets. I think there's a world where it can be both. I'm just not confident that in the real world that we live in, that it would go both ways. I fear that it would simply just go into shareholders / executives, CEOs, bonuses and pockets. So I welcome them to prove me wrong.
I agree, and I think a lot of people are on that same wavelength, Brian.
Well, unsurprisingly, the comments in our news article are not filled with people saying they would jump at the chance to pay more for GTA 6. We were running a poll asking, would you be willing to pay $100 for GTA 6? And 58% of respondents have said no. Now, that doesn't tell us the whole story. There weren't other options for other price points. Maybe half of those people would actually be willing to pay $80 for it, But it just seems like the general sentiment is gamers not thrilled about the idea of possibly paying more for GTA 6. Jada, out there in the community, are there any other sort of thoughts that you've picked up on?
Yeah, and funny enough, with our polls, yes, 58% said no. 33% said yes. Look at the sales of GTA 5. If a third of the players are willing to pay that extra amount of money, that is a large amount of the consumers that play GTA that are willing to pay that higher price. But yes, I do have a couple comments. Quadro Kane on IGN said, here's the thing they could get away with because it's GTA. It won't start a trend where every developer could start charging 80 to 100. I guarantee their sales will tank overnight if for not every game is GTA. Basically saying any other studio, a Capcom, an Ubisoft, a Square Enix trying to charge 80 to 100, that's not going to work. But Rockstar has cultivated this following. They've got GTA is big enough. They could do it. We've also got Pink Yeti. There are a good handful of games I would happily pay $100 in Canadian, so that's even more US-wise, for including Elden Ring, Street Fighter 6, Baldur's Gate 3, and Cyberpunk. That is just off the top of my head, but I'm sure there are many more games, many more 100-hour games for me that are totally worth the $100 price tag. I mean, going out to dinner with wife and kids is easily $100 and lasts an hour with nothing to show for it afterwards. Games are one of the cheapest forms of entertainment by miles. So there's a lot of people that often draw this parallel to hour per dollar kind of commitment. And I think that's why games have gotten so big over the last couple decades, because people realize how much entertainment value you get out of that dollar amount. So I agree. There's a lot of people for that. Let's see. Unknown 4x4 said would be totally against it. Half the crap AAA are being pumped out these days aren't even worth it. That's some people just are really vehemently against paying more money, and I get it. Kukomall 786, I'll close out with. At the current $70 mark, there are very little games that are worth that much. And even if they are, many games are happy to wait on a deal so they can get it for 40 to 50 because we all know it's coming. This is we see sales constantly popping up on the PlayStation Store, eShop, Xbox's store. You also see sales at Walmart, Target, all the other box outlets that sell these games. There are tons of sales, and a lot of companies, people know that their games will be on sale for $20, $30 off within 2 to 3 months, and they don't need to play it day one. GTA 6, I think, is one of those other games. It's not in that bucket. I think there is a lot of FOMO. I think there is a lot of people who are saying they won't buy it day one for $100, but as soon as they see 10 of their friends online playing GTA and they're like, hey, why aren't you playing with us? That kicks in. And I think GTA is one of those games that has that kind of community and friend group and just kind of cultural impact to kind of push people to spend that extra money for something like this.
Well, and not only that, can I add that many players have already paid way more than $100 for GTA 5 because it's been re-released twice. First on the Xbox One and PS4, and then again on the PS5 and the Series X or S. So even if you just bought one of those re-releases, you've already spent well over $100 on it. So again, I'm not defending a price increase here, but just pointing out that a lot of us actually have already done it for GTA 5, and so the the next step that the publisher Take-Two might take here is to just make that, try to get all that money from you on the first day rather than over a couple re-releases.
There is a way that Take-Two might be able to get gamers to happily pay $100 for GTA 6, which is the increasingly popular method of just charging them for early access, right? To play it 3-4 days early for $100. It seems like a lot of people have no problem doing that.
I've talked to high up people who say that that's a strategy that they're absolutely going to continue because it works. And Jada made the great example of Starfield. Like you could see that without even seeing the numbers, which obviously we don't publicly have access to. You could just see that out in the community that first weekend when Starfield was available with the early access if you paid the premium. And it's the FOMO that Jada mentioned. And yeah, I would be stunned if Take-Two did not offer an early access for a higher price on GTA 6.
But what do you think about this idea that it's other people in the industry hoping that if Take-Two goes first with GTA 6, that it will break the $70 barrier, and all of a sudden the price of all games can come up? Because I don't know, Rockstar is a beloved developer. GTA is a beloved series. I don't think just any other publisher is going to be able to raise their prices and people are going to be cool with it. What do you guys think?
I agree. I think this is a one-off occasion. I do think this is kind of a crack in the dam kind of situation, though, to where if we start to see, like I mentioned earlier in the episode, Witcher 4, if CD Projekt Red, somebody who's also been very beloved by a lot of fans and makes massive open world games, wants to try it, we could see that in the future as well for those bigger games that they already have that huge installment of audience. I don't see something like a new IP from a Capcom, a Square Enix, a Sega, or whoever. I don't see a new IP, even like a new IP from Xbox, Sony, or Nintendo. I don't even see those trying to crack that type of thing. But it's only for these games that have these massive built-in audiences that are guaranteed to sell at these higher points because they have built this audience for decades now. And so fans are used to spending and wanting to play these games day one or day -3 when the case of early access type of things.
Really well said, Jada. And the only one that comes to mind where I start to go, I wonder, is Call of Duty. And the only reason is it's obviously it's the biggest thing not called Grand Theft Auto, but it's annualized. So like GTA is this now once a decade event.
Yeah.
Would people be willing to pay $100 every year for Call of Duty? I don't know. Like 80, probably. I'll bet if anybody would follow suit, Call of Duty would probably be the first one, which is now obviously Microsoft. It would be Microsoft going down that road. So yeah, I do agree with you both though. I don't think this is a blanket thing. I'll be really curious. We touched on this last week, but what Nintendo does with Switch 2 games, that's going to be an interesting one because they've not been as aggressive on pricing, but yeah, there's a lot's changing, that's for sure.
It's true. Interesting times. We're still waiting on a release date for GTA 6, although it is still expected to arrive later this year. So we'll continue to watch the year's most highly anticipated game on all of our coverage here at IGN. Here's the results of last week's poll. We were talking about the Switch 2, which Ryan just brought up. We asked if you're planning on getting a Switch 2, and 43% said yes on day one, but 40% said you're waiting to find out more, games, specs, etc. And then 16.5% said they are fine with their current setup, which would tell me that maybe they're just not much into their Switch, because I don't know about you guys, but my Switch is starting to feel a little bit old, a little bit long in the tooth.
Or a lot old.
these days. New poll for you to vote on for next episode. By the time this is live, the Xbox Developer Direct will have already happened, and our Podcast Unlocked post-show will have occurred. So we want to know what game from the Xbox Developer Direct excited you the most. Was it Doom, The Dark Ages? Was it South of Midnight? Ryan, what's the other named one? It has a strange
Claire
name.
Obscure Expedition 33, the role-playing game.
Yeah, that one. And then there's a game that's still a mystery to us on Wednesday when we're recording this. So which of those games was your favorite from the Direct? Make sure to vote at IGN.com the day this episode goes live. And that's going to do it for this edition of Next Gen Console Watch. Thank you to both Jada and Ryan. Thank you to everyone working behind the scenes here in our LA studio to make this episode possible. My name is Daemon. We'll be back next week with the latest gaming hardware news. We'll see you then.